We meet again at last. The circle is now complete.
What's the world coming to?
Well, you got a problem with what I did, Anthony?
Oh, no. Hey, no.
Fucking rat anyways. Whole family's all rats. Would have grew up to be a rat.
Stupid bastard. I can't fucking believe it.
Gee, I'm real sorry your mom blew up, Ricky.
Now you're gonna dig the fucking thing. You're gonna dig the hole. You're gonna do it. I got no fucking line. You're gonna do it.
Yes, I'll take the fucking hole. I don't give a fuck.
I realized that what was living behind that boy's eyes was pure and simple evil.
Jesus Christ. Mister, you okay in there?
Put some Disney coffees around here someplace.
Have you any idea what the cost of your actions is? What their effect might be? Or are you to give them hope? What do you give them? We give them happiness. And they give us authority. Groovy.
What's going on, friends? Logan Myerz back here for the first solo podcast in 2020. Oh my God, it's 2020, a brand new decade. We survived 2000 to 2019. It was crazy. It's looking back at 19, 20 years, how much I've changed since, being in high school, being a middle-aged guy or mid-30s guy now with a family. And I can't wait to see what 2020 brings myself, my family, and the Cinephellas. Lots of great movies and TV shows coming out this year. So I'm absolutely excited for. Today, I'm going to talk about a brand new film that was just released, Inherit the Viper, starring Josh Hartnett, directed by Anthony Jerjen. And I had the chance of interviewing the director about this film that I'll get to later. I want to hear from you guys. How's your 2020 going thus far? Have you guys set some goals, some things you want to do this year with your life, maybe family, health, anything? How are you guys doing? We do this for you guys. We love doing the Cinephellas Podcast. We love interviewing, people in the entertainment business. But more importantly, we love you guys, people that support us, listen to us, follow us on our social media pages, subscribe to our YouTube channel. We do it for all you guys. We love you very much, and hopefully this upcoming year brings you guys lots of great stuff. What's been going on with Cinephellas as of late, you ask? Well, it's 2020, brand new year. Henry and I just shot a podcast I posted on our YouTube channel yesterday, episode 57, where we're talking about our most anticipated films and TV shows. Find it on SoundCloud, or you can go over to Apple Podcasts and see that podcast, subscribe to us, check us out there on any of your mobile devices. But this year, we definitely want to be doing more of the podcast. We're going to be doing solo interview podcasts, Niall, myself, and Henry, and also all of us hopping on the podcast together and talking everything in TV and movie news and reviews. Really love doing that. You don't have to see our ugly faces on video. You can just hear our soothing voices. Besides that, a lot of movies, TV shows coming up, and I'm going to be reviewing. I've actually shot like 5 or 6 videos in the past week. I just haven't had a lot of time to edit them and get them posted. Life has been crazy back at work. Besides Cinephellas doing the movie review thing, I work a full-time IT gig, like 9 to 5 job. It's got to pay the bills, the house and everything. So it's been really crazy since the holiday. Everybody's back at work, and it's just been insane. I'll be getting to those and posting those once life and work calms down a bit here in the next few weeks. But besides that, we got some new logos coming to our social media pages and our website. If you guys haven't checked us out already on our website, we're over at Cinephellas.com. If you go to our website, you can find us on social media as well, or just type in Cinephellas on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram and find us, follow us, and check out all our craziness. We got more reviews coming from our great writer, Kevin Muller, out in New York. We have Armando Venegas, it's down in Texas. A really great young writer that we have for Cinephellas. And we have Niall Fortner. His podcast will be posted next week with his interview for the new film he's just checked out. So stay tuned for that. More podcasts with Henry and Niall. Myself, we're going to be doing our first Q&A here in the next few weeks whenever we can figure out a way to schedule that with all of us to get us on the call. We're going to be answering some questions from you guys the first time actually doing that. So if you guys have any questions for us as a group, or myself, Henry, Niall, Kevin, go ahead and submit that over. You can email us at cinefellas@gmail.com with your questions, or reach out to us, tweet us, ask us some questions. We'll be reading those on the podcast and answering the best way we can, and hopefully there's some juicy ones in there to make us all embarrassed. So this is going to be a great year for Cinephellas. We're still trying to work on a new website, get some more logos and things like that with our graphic designer. I'm not sure when that will be done, but we're working on it as we speak. So definitely look out for some new logos, new design hitting the interwebs coming soon. And if you haven't already, spread the word about Cinephellas and go ahead and follow us on our social media pages and subscribe to our YouTube channel for really great video reviews. But more importantly, today I had the chance to interview the director of Inherit the Viper. Basically, it's about this family that's dealing in opioids, and it's their way of survival. That's how they survive. That's how they pay the bills, is dealing with that. And you can imagine with people dealing drugs, it doesn't end well. It ends with a lot of violence, people dying along the way. And this is a really great film that dives in the darker parts of the world that are, things that are going on. Families trying to survive, stay together, and sometimes they don't make the best decisions and get into business with bad people and what can happen to that family and tear them apart. Really great ensemble of actors in this. It was great seeing Josh Hartnett again. He was huge when I was growing up in high school. A lot of great movies. He was in H2O, Halloween. Past few years, he was in Penny Dreadful that was on Showtime. It was a really great show. But I love this actor. I think he gets better with age, and this is another key example of a great performance. Really great film called Inherit the Viper. But today I talked to the director, asking him about the filmmaking process, working with Josh Hartnett, how he got involved with the project, and upcoming stuff that he's going to be working on, upcoming projects and films. So really interesting and great conversation with the director, Anthony, and had an absolute blast with this. Select theaters and available on demand and digital on January 10th, this Friday. So definitely check that out if it's playing in your area. Otherwise, you can stream it on demand. And this is my interview with Anthony Jerjen.
How you doing today, my friend?
I'm doing good. Thank you for calling in.
No problem. So it's a privilege to talk to you today. We just watched Inherit the Viper and had a great time at the film.
Great.
So first of all, how did you get involved with this project?
Well, I actually discovered the script back in 2016. It was like a how do you call it, a spec written by Andrew Crabtree, the screenwriter, and I didn't know anything at the time about the opioid crisis. I'm a Swiss. I'm living in Europe, and back in 2016, nobody was really talking about it. So I just found it absolutely crazy and interesting and sad and shocking. And so I met with Andrew. I talked to him about wanting to make, trying to make this happen, to produce this movie. And at the time I was working already with some producers, and I presented them the movie. We developed it for a few months, and afterwards it was quite a normal traditional production. So yeah.
That's fantastic. We love this movie a lot. It tackles some real life issues. So I got to ask, what was the overall experience like with your directorial debut, and do you think you'll direct again?
Well, I mean I think that's a question probably every director asks themselves after every movie. I would love to make other movies. I think it's super scary, especially when you're tackling something like that, like a subject like this. You have to be quite sensitive. And obviously it's a movie about survival and family. So the opioid epidemic was the background, but we didn't want to make it, like a documentary or being too abject about it or too morally trying to bash this over people's heads, but just trying to show what this reality is and tell a human story happening, in those in that setting, in those rural areas. So it was super scary, but I'm very happy with the result. I was very fortunate to make the movie and to have the actors and the whole crew that we had that were very supportive and great collaborators. So that kind of alleviated to some of the stress and pressure to make a first movie.
Yeah, for sure. I think you did an excellent job on this as well, directing it. This film tackles some real life issues such as the painkiller trade addiction. Why do you think it was important to capture this ongoing world issue in this film?
I think the way I looked at it was that at the time I hadn't seen any movie talking about that. There was a bunch of documentaries, and obviously, the Congress had been doing some things about that since the early 2000s. They introduced a bunch of regulations, but really, it's such an ongoing situation that you can't really talk about the Appalachia region and set the story there and not talk about it. So it was a great story that enabled us to discuss this in a not too preachy manner. So that's why it was just the perfect occasion. I think that's why we really decided to go for it.
And I know, with painkillers and things like that, people get hooked on it. It's a real issue in the world and still a problem today. It's kind of epidemic, and it's just a great story in this movie. It really captures a lot of that, what these characters go through.
I wanted to say that it's interesting because now that the movie is coming out, and I know there is other movies that are coming out about the subject as well, and it's a little bit scary because I know that there is money that has been given to deal with the opioid crisis is almost a moot point right now because a lot of people who were hooked on opioids are moving away from Oxycontin and all those drugs to methamphetamine, methamphetamine, and the money that was given by the Congress, and because it's an emergency right now, and it got some funding, but this money cannot be transferred directly to this new methamphetamine crime. So it's just moving all of the time, evolving all the time, and that's why it's so difficult to do something about it. Because by the time you get funding to do something, the problem has already evolved and transformed into something different.
And what was it like, with directing this film? What was it like working with Josh Hartnett and the cast of actors and actresses?
Well, I mean, it was an absolute pleasure. Josh and really all the actors were, they're very generous and very professional, and all of them did the movie because they wanted to. They did. That's what that they really something about the story resonated with them, and I think probably the pitch what I pitched him, the way I wanted to do it apparently resonated with them. But it was really a delight. I have only good things to say about everything. When you make movies like this, which are small budget movie. It's kind of almost a family affair, like the family in the movie. You're all in this together, and it's tough, but they were like real troopers and fantastic collaborators, really.
Yeah, definitely. Did you have any funny or memorable stories from the set making this movie?
I mean, I don't think I have any really funny story, but I think it was very funny. To see Josh learning to play the guitar because he doesn't really play guitars, and he had really very little time to learn it, and that was the first time I saw Josh in a movie singing and playing guitar. So it was quite a heartwarming moment for me, and yeah.
That's fantastic.
It's more of a good memory than a funny story, I'd say. Yeah.
Did you watch any films for inspiration before shooting this movie?
Sure. I mean, there is a few really staple indie movies such as Winter's Bone, that kind of are set in the same kind of rural America. So I think it's kind of important to at least watch what has been done recently. And the trend right now for indie movies has been to go with this almost very realistic style of handheld, very close to the actors, and sometimes a little bit of a more naturalistic light. Not always pretty, but for this, we took inspiration more from the movies from the 70s. I keep referencing Pelham 1, 2, 3. Just because I didn't want this to be too documentarian, so in order to have still some grittiness, I felt grittiness was something that they captured really well in the 70s. The choice of color palettes, of cinematography style, of camera work, and that's something that I really like. I think it's a bit more precise and deliberate. So we definitely looked at some of those and try to make something in between and hybrid, something that we felt was kind of relevant to the story and the world.
Do you have any other upcoming projects in the works that we should be on the lookout for besides Inherit the Viper?
Well, I have a few in the works, but I can't really say anything about them yet. I'm a little bit. I believe in bad luck and good luck, so I feel like I can't really talk about them. But yes, I am definitely working on some projects that are quite different from Viper, more of genre movies, and I really hope to have a chance to do them, to direct them.
Well, it was really great talking to you today, my friend. We had a great time with Inherit the Viper. Can't wait for everyone to see this film and support it and love it as much as we did.
Thank you so much for calling in. Thank you for the kind words.
Yeah, for sure. It was a great interview. Keep in touch, and you have a good rest of your day.
Thank you. You too.
So that was my conversation with the director of Inherit the Viper. Like I said, really great film, really gritty, raw film put up by Lionsgate. We really dived into some interesting questions about how we got involved with the project, the process, working with other actors on set, what it was like making a film as a director, and also what it was like making a film that's dealing with opioids and a family business and what that all means. So a lot of great questions and answers we got from Anthony. Really great conversation with this guy, and I really can't wait to see his upcoming projects because he is definitely talented, a really talented filmmaker. And Inherit the Viper is definitely a good way to kick off 2020 if you guys are looking for like a crime drama, dealing with violence and opioids and things that families come across and a means of survival. I think this is a movie you guys will enjoy. I highly recommend it. I would give it a 3.5 out of 5 hair pieces. Like I said, it's playing in select theaters or digital on demand, so check it out if you can. And we got some more great interviews coming up in the next few weeks. Next week, we're going to be releasing Niall Fortner's brand new interview. We're going to be shooting a Cinephellas Podcast all together, doing a Q&A. More reviews hitting our website, and I got plenty of videos hitting our YouTube channel, including the new film 1917, the new trailer for Lock and Key, one of my favorite graphic novels of all time, and a lot of great other content from our writers Kevin, Armando, and Niall. Hopefully you guys had a good time listening to episode 58 of Cinephellas Podcast and my interview with the director of Inherit the Viper. Lots of great stuff coming our way in 2020, but also stay tuned for more Fellas giveaways. We just gave away the Joker digital code yesterday to 2 people, and we got more movies coming out in January and February we're going to be giving out. We're really stoked for 2020 here at Cinephellas and all the opportunities that are going to come up along the way, and we can't wait to show you guys what we've been working on and what we have coming up in the near future. This is Logan Myerz signing out from Cinephellas Studios for episode 58. Until next time, cheers!
Love those wild rascals. The older those boys get, the wilder they get. I gotta stop by Big Ray's and get some barbecue and get my tires rotated. Love you, boys. Love Big Ray.